It's time for the Teed Off Podcast.
It is episode 12 of the Teed Off Podcast. I'm Ben Clyburn, and I'm here with my co-host, Aaron Thomas. Aaron, how's it going, man?
Good, Ben. How about yourself?
Really good. It's another beautiful fall day. Wish we were on the golf course, but doing a little bit of teed off is a close second.
It'll have to work today.
Joined in the studio today by Scott Taylor, General Manager of River Oaks. Scott, thanks for sitting in.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. I'll go over the agenda of the show today. We'll hit the front nine, the world of golf. The TGL is more details have come out. We'll get more thoughts on the league now that we know more about the format and some of the players. And, are we going to watch it? How much are we going to watch it? We'll get more into that. Spoke a little bit last episode about Tiger and Justin Timberlake's sports bar in St. Andrews. Well, there's some news that the locals don't quite like that. So we'll discuss that briefly. And then just looking ahead to 2024, LIV and PGA, how are they going to live separately? Will they live together? What does next year look like after a very interesting year in the golf world? Then we'll make the turn, and it'll all be about Scott Taylor and River Oaks and the history of the course and what makes it special, our golf package of the episode. Then we'll hit the back nine, jump more into Myrtle Beach golf, talk about the spring rounds that are filling up, any Black Friday deals that you guys might want to be thinking about when booking your golf package this month, the accommodation of the episode, and then last but certainly not least, what tees us off. You guys ready to jump in?
Let's do it.
It's ready.
All right.
The front nine.
Okay, the front nine. The last 72 hours, the TGL has really dropped some heavy details on what the league is going to look like from a format standpoint. I want to go over what we're going to see in January. So let me just go over kind of the basic rundown and get y'all's thoughts on it. So there's going to be 6 teams of, it looks like 4 players, and they're going to be 15-hole matches. So the first 9 holes is going to be a 3-man alternate shot. And then the last 6 holes are going to be singles matches. It's going to be 3 singles matches. They're going to be playing 4 holes. So they overlap, which is a little different. It's going to be hockey-style regular season scoring, and then the top 4 of 6 teams go to a playoff, and there is a single elimination semifinal, and then the last 2 teams remaining do a best of 3 kind of round matches. All of this is going to be played at Palm Beach State in Florida in this super high-tech SoFi arena that is built kind of bespoke for golf technology in this event. There's going to be shot clocks. They're going to be hitting their drives and approach shots into a full swing simulator and then literally turning around and 50 yards and in playing on this huge 3,800 square foot platform that has actuators that changes the undulation of the greens. So there's going to be some simulation and reality in this. Knowing that these new details, Aaron, what are your thoughts? Because I know the last episode you were lukewarm on it. How do you feel now after hearing more about the format of the TGL?
I'm still lukewarm.
Okay.
My first question I have is the big green that's going to make all the changes. Is it real grass?
I don't know. I do know that I'm going to say no because of the actuators. I think that would probably ruin the grass. They are going to be hitting off of real grass or real sand. I guess if they hit it in a fairway bunker in the simulator. Okay.
It's just, for me, I don't know how I feel about it yet. Yeah. I really don't. Yeah. It's still a lot to take in, and I think it could be interesting TV. It's obviously coming on at a time of the year where there's not going to be a lot else on for us to watch, so I'm certainly going to tune in, and I'm going to give it a shot. But right now, I'm still, like I said, still learning more about it. Plus, the teams aren't filled yet.
Yeah, we only know about 2 teams, one of which is filled. So Rory's team is the Boston Common, and then the ATL Drive is Justin Thomas's team, but I don't think we know who's on that team yet.
Tiger is he going to be on a team?
Yeah, Tiger's going to have a team.
Okay.
But I don't think he's debuting the first.
He's saving himself for last, probably.
That, and, it's counting on the rehab, too, because you don't want him... You don't want it to be a letdown and say, "Oh, I can't wait to see Tiger," and then match number one, he or his team aren't playing.
Yeah, no, I get that. So, no, I mean I'm going to give it a chance. It's just I think it's still just a lot for me to take in and grasp what they're like. I need to see it. I want to see it live because right now I'm picturing stuff, and I'm not 100% sure it's what I want to watch on TV, but. Maybe it is.
I'd like to see a demo. Scott, what do you think about the league now that some news is hit and we have a little bit better picture of what it's going to look like?
I think it's wild. I mean, I always give credit to trying new stuff, and it's way more elaborate than we've seen in the past with the night golf. What was it? Tiger years ago did the thing at night, and they've always done these spin-off kind of things in the off season, but it seems way more new and different, and and it's all in one location. I'm looking forward to it as a golf fan, but like you, I mean, I don't know, what's the long-term play with it? I was trying to compare it, what I would compare it to, and is it the Pro Bowl when the NFL players do the kind of skills challenge and stuff off to the side? Like, it's cool, and you like to see your favorite players, and I'm sure there'll be some down moments where they're razzing each other and stuff, but how much of that can I watch over and over and over? But the match play thing, has always been a question when they do these match play tournaments. Is you kind of want your favorite players to face each other.
Yeah.
So if like Tiger, if he gets knocked out too early, who knows? But it seems cool. I mean, I'll tune in for sure.
Well, have they mentioned anything about like money and what they're playing for? I know there's a playoff format, but have they mentioned like, hey, the winning team's going to get X amount of money, or do we know what's going to drive them in this?
I do not know about the money situation. First off, if it's starting in January, I think the season, I don't know how many matches, how long the season is, but you have to imagine it's going to be rather short because, March is really February, March is when things get going. So it's going to be an abbreviated season, which, should be enough to get a taste, but at the same time, it can't hurt these golfers who, there's some stars that have signed up for this because it's Tiger and Rory backing it. They don't want to mess up their schedule. I mean, we've already seen John Rahm back out of it because he can't commit to the travel. They're all playing in Florida. He lives in Arizona. So it's a little strange to me to have these regional teams, Atlanta, New York, LA, that it's Boston, but they're all playing in Florida because the facility is one of a kind. You can't just put one of those up at a convention center in LA. You're going to have a dedicated facility for it with all this technology and all these things going on. So I'm not real sure about, they're creating teams and in these areas to have a connection to the fans, but there's no home games. Mm-hmm. So that's a little strange to me, but Scott, you mentioned what to compare it to. So, it's abbreviated matches, so 15 holes, and they've got these teams that sound kind of goofy. Well, what does that sound like to you? Sounds like LIV golf to me.
True. And maybe that spurred the concept a little further to go kind of into a new hemisphere of sorts, entertainment golf, so to speak.
Rory took some pretty good questions, I thought, the other day about that. And said, he's one of the most critical PGA players of LIV golf. And then you look at the TGL, it's kind of got some LIV, characteristics in there. And he said, well, my critique of LIV is that it is trying to make traditional golf hokey. Mm-hmm. Whereas he feels the TGL has gone so far afield of the game of traditional golf that it is another category, whereas LIV is a competitive category. Right. And I said, well, that's a pretty good answer. He must have been trained up on that, or he just, he had a really nice moment there. But
and you might attract, non-golfers, kind of like the Top Golf thing,
Definitely.
It's I don't know if it's going to be aired in prime time, that sort of thing.
It's going to be live. I'm sure it'll be in the evenings.
It's ESPN, right?
Yeah,
They have
and
the
ESPN
contract.
Plus.
Yeah.
And there's, as far as new golfers or new people getting into this sport, it's going to have a shot clock. So every shot, you can call timeouts, but there's a shot clock of 40 seconds. So it's going to fit between a TV slot of, hour and a half, couple hours. So that's good. I wouldn't want to, Aaron said in an earlier episode, I don't want to see a PGA tournament played from a simulator. I'm not going to sit down and watch 4 hours of these guys playing a video game. Yeah. You're not going to get that here.
And I don't think the viewing audience has the attention span to lock into something like that.
A non-passionate golf fan who's, this is going to be their first taste of golf. It needs to be instant gratification. It needs to be cool. There needs to be trash talking. So yeah, I'm pretty interested. The more I hear about it, the more interested I am.
I will say this. There are some really big names for ownership groups.
Yeah, you got
Fenway Sports Group,
Arthur Blank.
Yeah, I don't know some of the others, but just those two right off the top.
Steph Curry, Venus and Serena Williams.
Yeah,
there's some star power.
Yeah, so it's obviously there's some interest there. By some
almost too big to fail kind of thing.
Yeah,
and you might introduce other sports figures. It could morph into something more than PGA Tour folks.
Well, financially stable people.
Financially stable, and the heads of the snake are likable, right? That's already a good step. The head of the snake for LIV is the Piff, and the face they put on it's Greg Norman. So that was
who was the perfect person.
He was, but it's tougher for me. The money's talking there, not Greg. Yeah. And we haven't even talked about money here. I imagine it can't be massive. So it's more, hey, listen, Tiger and Rory, they want me to do this. I'm going to give it a shot.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure I'm sure they have an idea of what they're going to put up for prize money. But, they're probably still in the details of marketing, obviously they got the TV deal done, but how much are you going to have from advertising dollars and stuff? I with all those big names, I got to imagine there's going to be some pretty big advertisers too.
Yeah.
So.
Well, in money, prize money, top tier player payments have been, since LIV, have been a topic of conversation for the PGA Tour guys. So this might be a backdoor way to pad some pockets, for those guys. And
well, I look forward to watching it. I really do. The more I would like to see, because it's still, I can imagine it better now. I'd love to see a demo. Like they should have some kind of hype video or something of like Tiger or Rory doing it.
Yeah.
And it can be, fully edited, make it look like a damn movie. But that would help the people
just
see it.
See what it's going to be. Yeah, because for the most part, I think the only information I've been able to find out has come from their website. It's not like I've
which has
seen,
artistic renderings.
And I don't watch nearly as much ESPN as I used to, but you would think there would be info on there, like even during SportsCenter about, just trying to push it since they got the TV rights. But I haven't seen anything, so I really don't know.
I think they're pretty pressed for time. Yeah. If it's going to be teeing off in January, because I haven't seen it.
When you'll start seeing commercials? College bowl season.
Yeah,
right.
That's about when they'll come on.
Yeah,
get those eyeballs.
That'd be good. When you heading out of college football and into something else, that'll be a good opportunity, because all people care about is what are the college football playoff rankings? Mm-hmm. Is Jim Harbaugh going to get let go by Michigan? All the stuff like that. The golf season is over, so it's a timing thing. So, it's newsworthy, and I look forward to reading more about it, hearing more of the teams, and Tiger's getting more involved publicly. So when he speaks on it, I'm excited to listen. So it's going to be interesting. We can all agree that it's going to be interesting, and we're going to watch the first one at least.
Oh yeah, I'm sure I'm either going to be like the day after. We'll have to do a podcast like shortly thereafter to discuss it. I'm either going to sound like an excited fan or a grumpy old man. Yep. There's going to be no in between for me. So,
well, there's some grumpy old men and women, and not necessarily old, but in the birthplace of golf in St. Andrews. So last episode we talked about Tiger and Justin Timberlake, they'd opened a golf sports bar. It's kind of like a Top Golf bar, but you're hitting into a simulator. They opened one in New York, I think the week the Ryder Cup was played. Well, they're also wanting to open one in St. Andrews, and 90,000 people have signed a petition that say they do not want that, and that is not the image and the what they need for their town in Scotland. What do you guys think about that? Do you agree with the locals? You want to keep it traditional and historical, or should some new blood, new ideas come in to the birthplace of golf?
Traditional and historical. That's, I mean, I get, I mean, in their eyes what they're trying to do, you know, but for those people that is their place, man. Like, they don't want it messed with, you know. It'd almost be like trying to go to the Masters and say, we're going to put this in right here, and you know that wouldn't fly.
Yeah.
So I get it, but yeah, I'd say you gotta go with the locals on that one.
What do you think, Scott?
I think I agree with you in a way. You know, they're straddling that line between history and, I mean, that's the home of golf, you know, so it's supposed to be golf in its purest form, and things haven't changed, and the pubs are all the same. And when you go there I've never been, you want to experience that. But at the same time, you can't deny change and growth. I mean, you brought up the Masters. As much tradition as they have been on the forefront of changing things. When you go there, I've only been there, you know, they have the Berkman's Place, and there's some modern stuff around there while still trying to keep the history of Augusta National. So it's a bar, you know, I don't know, unless they think it's going to compete with, you know, the existing businesses there. I don't know enough about it.
Well, I'm sure we know, like, those types of places are not necessarily, when it comes to prices, up a local's alley. So that could be part of it too. They don't want to be priced out or whatever. But I mean, you've been.
I've been to both.
You tell us how it would fit.
I've been to St. Andrews and I've been to the Masters. The Berkman's Place comment is an interesting point. The only thing I would say is that, you know, that course is open to the public, you know, one weekend a year.
Right.
And so Berkman's Place becomes, you know, that special place one weekend a year, where this bar for Tiger and Justin Timberlake is going to be there all year round. So even though, you know, they have the Dunhill Links, and then they're always in the open rotation, they get some action. But it's going to be there the rest of the year. So people pay homage to St. Andrews to go play, like I did, in a year where they're not playing professional golf. And I just don't know. I'd want to go see the history. I'd want to go see the tradition.
What's I mean, obviously since COVID, travel, I mean, is it busting at the seams there? I mean, or has it stayed quaint?
My assumption is that it's busting at the seams. I went before COVID, but golf has exploded so much around the world that, you know, Tiger and Justin Timberlake, this is backed by some brilliant business people who have said, hey, the numbers work. If you build a bar here, it's going to be full all the time because people are coming in droves to play Scottish golf, and they would love a place like this. I just don't know how you make it historical and not classy, but sophisticated enough to match that image. Because Scotland in St. Andrews is exactly, you've never been, but what you see on TV and you imagine in your head is exactly that. I mean, it's the 4-foot stone walls and the rolling hills and the gray skies. And it's just, you don't want to mess with that. Don't mess with perfect. It's perfect.
Do they have like a tourist area over there? I mean, obviously a lot of people travel there to play golf, but you know, like we got Broadway at the beach. Is there a Broadway at the beach?
No.
in Scotland, so they put something like that at?
You could put it in Edinburgh.
Yeah.
You know, which is a town you fly into. But other than that, I wouldn't put it on the coast.
Yeah, and I understand it, but
I mean, if they want to open a Scotch distillery, which there's all over the place, and do tours out of that and sneak some golf simulators in there, I think that's... I'm picturing a Top Golf, St. Andrews. Isn't that what you are picturing? And it sends shivers up my spine. So I understand that. But it's just like the TGL. Let me see the concept. Because it's got to be different than the one in New York.
Well, it's got to be something that the locals obviously don't like, or 90,000 people wouldn't have signed that.
You're going there for more than just golf. I mean, that's the home.
Yeah. So
I mean, because a lot of those buildings and stuff. I mean, like when you see it on TV, like they just look like it's just an historic place. Yeah, and I don't think they want to mess with the, what's the word I'm looking for here? Maybe the aesthetics. The aesthetics of how the area looks.
Well, think about it. I mean, last year, the RNA in St. Andrews, they redid the platform in front of the Swilken Bridge. Remember? I mean, I thought people were going to invade. I mean, they were so angry with it. So, and that was just a stone pathway over a 1,000-year-old bridge, that is the size of this desk. Yeah. I can't imagine a bar and grill, I don't know. I don't like it. I would be one of those 90,000 people. And it sounds like you guys probably would too.
Yeah, no, I definitely lean towards keeping the history for sure.
Yeah. The concept would fit perfectly in a Las Vegas.
Yeah.
World Golf Hall of Fame.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, dude. It would kill it in St. Augustine. It would kill it.
Any place like that, it would. It's you don't have the tradition that they've got over there.
Build some reputation, And there's some historical places in the United States that you could build to, Muirfield Village or something like that, or Bethpage Black, stuff like that. Build to it. St. Andrews, that's ostentatious to me.
They may be afraid if that gets there, and what's next? What's next?
Yep. So barbarians are at the gate. So, that's interesting. We'll watch and see what happens there. I imagine it won't happen.
No, I can't. If 90,000 people have already signed, I can't see it. So,
well, let's move on to a year of people being angry or happy with golf and LIV versus PGA. The merger has still not happened. It doesn't look like it's happening in the near future what that combined entity is going to be. So it looks like LIV and PGA are going to be, living separate lives for another year. It's been such a tumultuous year in the professional golf sphere. News just hit that there's a LIV qualifying event coming up, and that the PGA Tour will not be penalizing players for trying. Now, if you think about that, it's like, whoa, like, oh my God,
really? I thought they were capped.
What do you mean?
Didn't they say there's no room for new players or new teams?
There's 48 spots, so it looks like they're trying to open up all new teams.
Okay.
But you want to talk about trying out, they would roll the red carpet out for any PGA star. So somebody trying out is going to be a fringe player or somebody that lost their card. So to me, it's a no-brainer for the PGA Tour, who is trying to make some sort of merger happen, just say, well, we won't penalize any players for participating in this tryout event because they're players that they could do without, and probably are doing without because they didn't get their card anyway. But are we just going to have another year of these wacky events and the dudes wearing shorts making a ton of money, and then some of the better players not competing in majors? Taylor Gooch won $35 million this year. Mm-hmm. Taylor Gooch,
good for him.
And he's outside of the top 200 in world golf rankings. So are we going to have another year where some of the world's biggest events are going to be without the top players? And if so, how do you feel about it?
It's going to be another year because, there's been absolutely no news as far as merger goes. I think the last I heard anything was the government was looking to make sure it wasn't like antitrust laws or something. And if the government's involved, who knows how long that'll take. So I think we're looking for another year. But the only difference for this year, it's not going to be as heated because the announcement's been made. And I think people have just kind of accepted it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to watch whichever one I want. and go from there, because I'll still watch the PGA Tour more than I will LIV. I've not watched nearly as many LIV tournaments as I have PGA Tour tournaments. So.
Well, it doesn't sound like LIV's going to be any more accessible either.
No, but I'm surprised. That's the first I heard that about the adding people, because it wasn't that long ago. Greg Norman was the one that said it, that there was no room. They weren't expanding or new teams, or there was no room for people or something.
Yeah.
So they must have opened up the pocketbook again. And
I mean, 48 spots. I mean, they trying to add 8 teams, between 4 and 6 teams. I don't know. That's wild to me. I don't think they'll fill it with any stars. I mean, Scott, do you think there's anybody up there that's on the fence but is a star that would be jumping to LIV?
I don't think so. I think it's too much of a gray area right now, and we all got tired. It seemed like, was it last year, every week it was talking about LIV, and we all kind of got tired of it. So things have calmed down now, and I think they're all trying to figure it out. So I think time will tell, but I don't see any big names going over at this point. I'm hoping eventually the reverse will happen, and like the Myrtle Beach event that we're going to have at the Dunes Club, if the PGA Tour requires those guys a pathway, then the smaller PGA Tour events might get a Dustin Johnson or some of those bigger names trying to work their way back in. But as long as the majors and the biggest events can stay intact, I haven't been hating on LIV, good for them, go make the money, but because I look at the PGA Tour, I'm a fan of golf. I'll watch a Thursday round. Your casual fan won't always watch a Thursday round, but it's like the baseball season. Like, it's so long. There's games you just don't care about, but you tune in for the big ones. So as long as those can stay intact, I think we're okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's just that's a real interesting comment about if there is some sort of coexistence there, that some of the players would have to go through a smaller PGA event to qualify for a major, and that those doors would be open to them. That is really interesting, and definitely from a Myrtle Beach standpoint would be awfully cool. But I think we're going to see 2 totally separate leagues again. And if I were LIV, I'd probably move away from the singles and just do teams and live real separate. But
there's only been a couple times where it's been on at the same time, and I've flicked and I recognize more names on LIV, so I kind of watch it, but the whole time you're watching it, you're in the back, and I'm like, all right, it's cool, it's fine, but so I don't know.
They're hiring all these like the female golf influencers to go out there, though, so like the crowd and the gallery is all ranging younger, and there's good looking people in the stands. It's a big party. I mean, that's interesting to me. I think their effort level is super high. And obviously money talks, but it's still not a product. It's still too arcadey. And I think Rory made such a cool comment, not cool, such a valid point when he was trying to defend the TGL, is that LIV is not detracted far enough away from traditional golf to where now it's kind of like a joke of traditional golf instead of a totally new product. And that's how I think of LIV. That's how I see it too. And that's why I don't watch it, because it's just not. These guys aren't taking it seriously, man. They are making bank, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah, no, there's not a real competitiveness there at all. I mean, if you watch, and the other thing for me that's tough is because so many of their events are around the world, the TV times are real messed up to try and keep up with, because it's on the CW, and if you want to see it live, it's usually in the morning if it's not here in the States.
Yeah.
And that's usually not my thing. So,
or YouTube, you got to go back on YouTube and watch it.
Yeah.
But like you said, I can't compare it because it is gimmicky.
Yeah.
And so I can only take it in doses. And if there's a big name up there like DJ or something, I'll watch a little bit of it. But I haven't sat through a whole event.
The best thing to happen to them was the high performance in the majors.
Yeah.
I like Brooks Koepka. And Phil at Augusta getting hot on Sunday. I mean, that was the best thing to happen to their league, because it made their names relevant again. and push the brand that was behind them up.
Well, I think you can expect to see it again this year too. Kepka's not going anywhere.
No,
so,
he's healthy now. He's a stud again.
He's going to be on the leaderboard at the majors, and there's always going to be a LIV player that's going to pop up. I mean, if Bryson DeChambeau, if he starts playing well again, they've got some big names that are going to show up on leaderboards and make runs, if not win, in some of these majors.
I do worry for the game of golf as a whole, though. We still need to have all the best players, even if it's only for a few weeks a year, together.
Scott, I said that the first time I heard about LIV. I said the real loser here is not these players, these leagues. It's the fans, because we want to see the collection of the best talent playing in a tournament. Yeah, and it's already a rarity when you have to qualify for the top events, but it's even more rare now that you have players that are kind of ostracized from these events by not getting world ranking points and stuff like that. So yeah, it's something that we're going to miss again, a whole nother year of it. So we'll see what happens. It was a very interesting year, and I think we're going to have another interesting one, and I'm sure we're going to continue to talk about LIV and PGA and how they'll live together. No pun intended. All right, guys, that wraps up the front nine. What do you say we make the turn and talk about River Oaks with Scott Taylor? Let's do it.
Are you ready for a world of luxury? It's your world to play. Choose our world to stay. Condo World.
All right, let's make the turn, and we have Scott Taylor from River Oaks in the house today. Scott, if you'll give us a breakdown on how you got into the sport of golf and how you ended up in the golf industry in Myrtle Beach.
Man, thankfully I had a dad who was into golf and was passionate about it, and was stationed at Myrtle Beach Air Force Base, got transferred here in the mid-'80s, and passed the clubs on to me. And when he retired from the Air Force Base, he used his GI Bill to go to Ori Tech and get a turf degree.
All right.
And was on the crew that built Prestwick, and
cool.
he got a job over at Deer Track, and so it was just a hotbed for golf. So he became the GM at Deer Track and partnered with Gary Shaw, and they got into the business. And so I was just a sponge and soaked it all up, and loved playing golf, and was fortunate enough to go to Coastal on a golf scholarship, and stuck around, and been in the business ever since.
Super cool. How did you end up at River Oaks?
So we have a group of partners that leased the golf course about 13 years ago. There was a company called American Golf that had it, for 25 odd years, and their lease expired around the 2009 range, and we got a group together and leased it and put some money into it and kind of brought it back. And we're your mid-level, mid-tier, mid-priced, fun golf course, in great shape, family atmosphere. My wife works there now, and my dad's behind the counter doing his couple days a week. A family dog is there, and we got a great group. We're like one big family there, and been fortunate enough to have a lot of the same staff for all these years.
That is so cool. So a real family atmosphere, family business at River Oaks. Here in Condo World, I'm third generation family business. So that's really cool.
I spent many a golf trip with Roy.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Oh,
and Tunica. Yep. So way back in those days.
Trips.
The Tunica trips. I was there.
Yep. Roy and my dad both talk about the Tunica trip. So that will be on the B side of this episode. But have you ever been to any of the Tunica trips?
No,
Aaron?
I never went. No, I was probably... That would have been about when I was first breaking into the golf business, at least on this side of the golf package sales. So I don't know if I was quite at the level for the invite.
Okay.
But I think knowing what everybody knows now, they're probably glad I didn't go on some of those trips. So.
I mean, when you think about it, there was a bunch of Myrtle Beach guys living, golf capital of the world, traveling to the middle of Mississippi, the middle of nowhere.
That had gambling.
Oh, God. And we had a blast.
Y'all made it back to some of those.
Barely. That was in my old Wicked. I was at Wicked Stick.
Okay.
Way back in those days.
Yeah, I can remember those days. I was pretty young then. And that might have been why I didn't get an invite, because I might not even have been 21 yet.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That didn't stop some people. Right. Oh, man. So, Scott, tell us about River Oaks, the course. So, it's a family atmosphere in the clubhouse. Tell us about the golf course, the history of it, and what makes it special.
You know, it was built in the mid 80s, Gene Ham kind of design, tree lined, old pushed up greens. So the greens really aren't that big and pretty undulated. We've got quite a few that you can only put a pin in 2 or 3 spots. So it's, you know, it's not that big, wide open kind of resort feel. Quaint clubhouse, more of a snack bar, great outdoor area. About 5 years ago, we added a big patio on with the fans and the music's playing, and real easygoing vibe when you get in there. And our whole motto is fun. You know, come in there, have fun, have a few beers, eat a hamburger or hot dog, and enjoy your day, and then enjoy Myrtle Beach at night.
Aaron, I'm sure you can attest, and your golfers can attest, that River Oaks is about fun.
It is. I've played at several events at River Oaks over the years. One annually for like the last 25, I think. But I can attest that the outdoor patio area is phenomenal for if you just want to kick back, relax, especially if you're there for an event, a tournament or something. I've been there when there's been a live band. I've been there when they've just had a DJ.
Cool.
But I've been there for quite a few events, and it's a great setup. And the one thing I'll add, Scott, is if for somebody that's flying in or out of Myrtle Beach, you're not going to find a golf course closer to the airport than River Oaks. I mean, you can hop right off the plane and right over to River Oaks just off of 501.
Cool. You take a left out of the airport parking lot and literally don't make another turn until you get to River
drive
Oaks.
you right into it.
Yeah.
All roads lead to River Oaks.
Cool. That's right. But you know, we're thankful to have a great crew there, and great maintenance staff, great superintendent, and you know, this time of year is our overseeding time, and so we get a lot of good reviews, and thankful for our loyal customers and our Condor World provider, and who've been great to us over the years. And
well, it sounds like you have a crack staff both in and outside the clubhouse, and that's so important to keep the course playable and in good condition most of the year. Are there any signature holes that stick out to you at River Oaks that people should know about?
So we have one part of the golf course. I've worn this part of the golf course out that goes by the Intercoastal Waterway, and it's only, you know, the par 3, number 3 green overlooks the Intercoastal Waterway, and then we have a tee going back the other way. So, you know, that's the money shot. So number 3, par 3 uphill, got a big waste bunker, and when you get up on the green, you'll see the boats going by, and so that's a cool part of the golf course for us.
Absolutely. Cool. Aaron, what is a package that golfers should keep in mind when they're booking their golf package on mbgolf.com for River Oaks?
Well, River Oaks is part of the Myrtle Beach Golf Trail collection of courses here locally. So they've got 20 plus golf courses in the collection. I think for the value, our Myrtle Beach Golf Trail multi-play package is the best thing you can go with, because it gives you the savings for, you play 2 or more courses, it gives you the additional savings for the more courses you play. So it's the best value that you can get, and all of the courses participate in it. So
all of the golf trail
all
courses.
the Myrtle Beach Golf Trail courses participate. Yeah.
So look for on our golf packages the multi-play deal for the Myrtle Beach Golf Trail on mbgolf.com, and ask Aaron and his team about River Oaks. Sounds like a ton of fun, always in good shape, and the location can't be beat. So River Oaks is definitely a course you want to add to your itinerary. And Scott, what type of greens are on
we
River
have Champion Bermuda, but we overseed them in the wintertime.
Okay.
So, of course, we overseed heavier than most courses. We do all the green surrounds, which is a really nice look. So we'll be lush all through spring season and into the summer.
Well, we're about to talk about the spring season on the back nine here in a minute. So a lush golf course is definitely something you want to look for in River Oaks. Scott, thanks for breaking down River Oaks and breaking down your story on how you got into golf and into Myrtle Beach golf. Will you stick around with us on the back nine and talk some more Myrtle Beach golf?
100%. And thank you guys. Let me say, we appreciate your support. You guys have been great to us.
Absolutely.
Planning an unforgettable Myrtle Beach golf getaway has never been easier with mbgolf.com. With mbgolf.com, You get the choice of pairing world-class golf courses on the Myrtle Beach Golf Trail with luxury oceanfront condos or golf villas. Explore the Myrtle Beach Golf Trail at mbgolf.com, a Condo World company.
The Back Nine.
All right, let's jump on to the back nine, Myrtle Beach Golf. It has been just an incredible fall. And Scott, I hope the River Oaks tee sheets have been full this fall.
No complaints.
Good. But spring is booking up. I mean, we have had, Aaron, this past week, we have been booking a lot of spring golf. Give us an update on the spring.
Yeah, spring golf is coming in hot, as they should say, because it is all we are seeing right now is people booking for the spring. You name it. I mean, we're seeing any of the spring months. Usually I can tell you, hey, if you want this date, you need to get it. I would just say it's time to start thinking about it and start doing it, because there's a lot of people booking spring tee times. And I've noticed on the tee sheets as we are booking them that they are dwindling down for a lot of dates. So
I think what's interesting in previous years is that we've had more people rebook their fall and spring stays when they left this year.
yes,
They called you, a week after they returned home and said, put us on the books.
some have done it while they've been here.
So that makes that tee sheet next year that much more limited. And so now we're getting, I really, not uncharacteristically, but it is especially popular right now, the spring bookings. I'm looking at the sales sheet and saying, wow. And they're big groups.
Yeah, well, and it's obviously they know they need to book early. The bigger the group, the earlier you better book if you want to get your decent times or what you're looking to do for the group. I mean, it's like I said, it has been a crazy last couple of weeks that we've seen with the number of bookings coming in. But I mean, just so far out. I mean, I hate to even say it. I know we're talking spring, but I've had fall groups that called me while they were here to go ahead and get things set up for next year already.
Totally. I mean, if you guys had a great time this fall in Myrtle Beach, you need to be thinking about next fall already.
Well, I think part of it too is people look at the pricing, because the pricing changes with the availability, and they know if the later they book, the more they're paying for golf courses, accommodations. It all changes based on availability. So the early booking window is big now.
Yeah, as the tee sheet gets limited, naturally those prices are going to go up. The same with the accommodations side of things. I will say this, and if you guys are planning your trip, don't wait, but certainly don't let it escape this month of November for your spring trip, because at Condo World, where MB Golf has exclusive accommodations too for your package, we are going to be running our annual Black Friday sale around the Thanksgiving Black Friday time period, and those are the best. The deals aren't going to get any better. So if you guys are looking to book, definitely book now. The time to book is now on mbgolf.com. Talk to Aaron. Talk to his team of golf and vacation specialists. They can put together a package at the best price and the best courses and accommodations only at mbgolf.com. Aaron, let's talk about the accommodation of the episode. It's the Bahama Sands.
Yeah.
It is right a few doors down from
Stone's
our
throw,
office
as
here.
they say.
Yep. It is a gorgeous high rise. It's got 2 and 3 bedroom oceanfront and ocean view condos. It's got all the bells and whistles, as they say. Really big floor plans, washers and dryers in the condos, full kitchens, big expansive glass balconies. It's just really a golfer's dream.
Bedding in there is a big one too. A majority of the accommodations are king, queen beds, which the golfers love. Everybody wants to have the bigger beds while they're here, and those accommodations at Bahama Sands are large enough to make those beds work in all those bedrooms. So it's a popular draw for our golf groups. Just the bedding is, and the ocean view. Let's not forget that.
Great ocean view, and it's in Crescent Beach, so you're 5 to 10 minutes minutes away from a ton of courses, and 30 minutes away from about all of them.
And close to anything. I mean, restaurants, nightlife, you can get to it very easily from there. So, I mean, all of your golf courses are going to be a fairly short drive away, especially in the North Myrtle Beach area. So,
yeah, we talked about River Oaks and the Myrtle Beach Golf Trail in this episode. Pair it with Bahama Sands. You cannot go wrong with a golf package with either of those on mbgolf.com. All right, guys, last but certainly not least is our section Teed Off, where we talk about the sport of golf or the golf business or a personal story in the game that has teed us off. And I'll kick it off this week.
Okay, it looks like you're anxious, so you might. This one's been brewing.
Sort of. It was brewing, and then it flip-flopped. So my teed off was going to be that, at least in this area, for the most part, people have either bought or built a house on a golf course. It wasn't the opposite. It wasn't, I built a house and a golf course ended up behind me. So what tees me off are the no trespassing signs in people's backyards, because most people aren't hitting fairways and greens. Even the average golfer shoots 100. So there's a lot of balls in the woods. Now, I completely understand not playing from someone's property, but I think within reason, you should be able to go get your ball and then get it back out into play and don't bother anybody. But the no trespassing signs, and then or even better, the basket of balls of Max Fly noodles or Top Flights that you can take instead. That was gonna be my teed off until about 48 hours ago. So I live on a golf course. And I've got a fenced-in backyard, and it's an aluminum fence. And I've got big dogs, so it's tall. It's 6 foot tall aluminum fence, so it looks like the state penitentiary or something. No gate in the back, so I just access from the sliding glass door for my dogs to go out of. And I noticed, my dogs weren't out there, that there was a ball in my backyard, which happens from time to time. I'm in the fairway, and you either have to have a really, really big drive or a really errant second shot. And I've seen both. And there was a ball in my backyard, and then I noticed a golf cart coming toward my property. And before I could get outside, I noticed that the gentleman, who was rather large and had some cocktails based on his gait, and I live on the 17th hole, so he had some fun all day, stumbled and saw that his ball was in my yard, and then he noticed that there was no gate. And before I could get outside, he barreled over my fence, landed on the ground, got the ball, tossed it over, and barreled back over the fence to his playing partners and his group's laughs. And I was more in shock than mad, but I went outside and I just threw my hands up and said, "Really?" Like that. And I don't speak sign language, but the guy gave me a gesture that said I was number one. Yeah. So I was so teed off, but I couldn't even say anything. So now I'm totally reversed on the home ownership on the golf course. It's like, get off my lawn.
It must have been a Pro V.
Yeah,
right. That's right.
So that teed me off so bad. So get off my lawn.
We have to get you a hat that says that.
Yeah, it is. So I will. So that was my teed off. Aaron, what do you got?
Well, mine, the gentleman that I played golf with a couple weeks ago in an event we had, Scott was actually playing with us that day. He wasn't in my group, but I told him he was going to be my teed off on our next episode, because I've never seen anything like it. So in the carts now, they have the little holders with the sand, fill in your divots. Great thing. Yeah. Fill in your divots. Well, I look over and he's filling up everyone's divots. And I was like, "Well, come on, man, I hit my shot. Let's go." And he's like, I like to, he said, "These people don't fill their divots in." I said, "We're going to need sand for the rest of the round too." He emptied them out, filling divots. He was just walking around other people's divots. Yeah, I said, "No, we don't have any sand."
At first he was a Turf Crew's dream, but then now you guys aren't going to fill your divots.
I said, "You just canceled out all the work you did with us taking divots now." and
I have mixed emotions as a golf operator.
Scott knows who I'm talking about. We're not going to say his name on here, but I hope he listens to it because I told him he was going to be my teed off because I just looked over and I was like, well, now how am I going to fill in my divot? And he emptied them right out, just walking around, filling them up. He really thought he was doing a great service to the golf course, and I commend him for that. But he just canceled out everything that with the rest of our round.
Now, if you tried to replenish the sand bottles out of the bunker sand, that might have...
Good intentions, bad decision.
I'm glad we didn't give him that idea that day because he might have done it. But yeah, he had his great intentions, but it really teed me off because I had to wait on him to fill him in, and then I had no sand to fill in mine.
So once again, we have a pace of play issue, and then now we have a course etiquette issue at the end.
Yeah.
Just trying to be too friendly.
My teed off are mostly pace of play anyway. So.
Oh man,
but
that is wild. I don't even know how to react to that.
I've never seen anybody do it.
You've played with him before, right?
Oh yeah. I played with him a million times. First time I ever seen him do it. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they just were too full of sand. I don't know. But I laughed, but I was like, you realize, I said, all the work you just did is canceled out for every shot we take for the rest of this 9.
That is wild. What a teed off. That would tee me off too.
I told him, I said, hey, you're going to be on my teed off next week. And I said, I'm just telling you now.
Well, those who shall remain nameless is famous now.
We need him, for the morning crew at the golf course to go out. If that's his kind of thing.
If you'd like a side gig and like to get paid for your etiquette, you can email Scott.
That's right. And it was early in the round. It's not like it was halfway through the round. It was early in the round.
Etiquette wears off as the round goes on.
It certainly did that day.
Wow. Okay, well, Scott, let's bring it home with your teed off.
So I'm triggered. Your story about the fence, it brings up all kinds of emotions. I could probably give a half a dozen examples of stuff like that. And accountability at the golf course. We love our golfers. I like to have fun, just like the next guy. And we're a fun golf course, as we said. But every now and then you get those guys that you just go, "What are you doing?" Don't climb the fence. Or I had one the other day where guys use the restroom, unfortunately behind trees, and so that might not be so hidden. We had golf balls. We unfortunately had a gentleman get hit with a golf ball, and so there's we're an outdoor sport and there's a lot going on, and some guys are having a few cocktails and a few drinks, so we just ask our guys, try to take accountability for your actions, and don't flip the golf cart over, don't drive through bunkers, but we love you.
What happens? What you're saying is what happens at River Oaks does not necessarily stay at River Oaks.
That's right. Because the phone call that the homeowner or somebody makes is usually to me.
Yeah,
that's right. So yeah, let's not let's not take advantage of the big friendly family atmosphere at River Oaks. We still have to behave. It's a fun sport, but you can't cross the line.
Yeah, and by and large, everybody does great. You get the few guys having a little too much fun. That's all right. We'll get through it.
Well, in defense of the bathroom thing, sometimes when you got to go.
That's right.
I've been there.
Well, with all the development around, there's not as many places to hide anymore.
This is true, yeah. Well, you think you find like this perfect bush, and then you don't. Then you realize when you walk around the other side, it's like wide open.
John Rahm even said his number one thing for the PGA Tour to change next year, and you thinking it's going to be a rules change or some sort of format change? No, a porta potty on every hole. That was his thing. And so yeah.
Well, and we're a very women friendly golf course. We get a lot of local women's groups and travel groups. We just had a group of 25 travel from Canada. Restrooms and cleanliness and that sort of thing. It's a big deal. So golf courses do need to focus on that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I'd like to see. I know it's expensive. I'd like to see some more facilities on the golf courses and stuff within reason, for sure. Well, those are great teed off guys. And it's been a really good episode. Scott Taylor from River Oaks, the general manager. Thank you so much for
Thank you,
joining
guys.
us.
Thank you, Scott.
Sharing
Appreciate you guys.
your history and your thoughts on the world of golf and Myrtle Beach golf. And you guys remember to ask about River Oaks and Bahama Sands when you're on mbgolf.com or talking to one of our vacation specialists. And thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to Teed Off. Visit mbgolf.com and follow us on Instagram at Teed Off Podcast for the latest episodes and news.